Great information from Chaitra. And again, the nature and the spirit of this business track is to really teach all of you how to really deepen your journey in the cloud. With that, my next panel is really going to share some best practices on how you can gain access to investments, how you can gain access to the customer market and to talent. And before we start on that, let's set some context as to why this is so important. So enterprise tech is one of the fastest growing and most influential sectors in the tech industry, with enterprise software spending expected to reach $457 billion this year alone. However, it is indicated that women are largely left out of that opportunity, and that's extremely unfortunate. There really is about 2% of the venture funding that goes to women startups, and it's even less in the tech enterprise. So in this tech enterprise space, it has shown that investing in women-led businesses will actually create a better return on investment. And if we invested in women at the same rate on par as with their male colleagues, will actually create an estimated $5 trillion boost to the global economy. That is huge. So this is why this conversation is so important. And there is a recent quote from our Microsoft Executive Vice President, Peggy Johnson, who heads up our business development group. And she said, and it's so powerful, she said, investing in women is not charity. It is good business. And she is so right. So again, all of us today are here in the spirit of ensuring that we accelerate this opportunity for women. And with that, I'd like to invite the panelists up today. They're going to share some best practices. So welcome, Lisa, Margaret, and Jillian. So Jillian.
Yes, ma'am.
In doing my research on all of you, it was so incredible because you have such amazing accomplishments, not only in your knowledge, but just the accolades bestowed on all of you. And it's not just the naming convention of that, but it's really the obstacles that you all overcame as women in IT just to really, have that opportunity to be, a mentor and a coach for folks. So Jillian, you've been an advisor to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the U.S. State Department, and the World Affairs Council. I mean, that's pretty big. So your work in advocacy focusing on access to investments in particular, in which you speak globally. And what I love is you actually really go deep on the benefits of financial lens investing. Can you tell us more about this area of the business you're so active in, so passionate about, as it relates to how women entrepreneurs can gain access to funding?
Sure. The first thing I would say is that for the roles that I played, I asked for them. They didn't fall into my lap. The second thing is it was an honor and a privilege to serve on all. And the other thing about the field that I'm in, I should say that in 2018, in January, we held the first Women in Cloud Summit. There were about 70 to 90 people, maybe 100 people in the room. Microsoft called. They asked me to announce the intention to form a gender lens investment fund right here at Women in Cloud. So I stepped off the cliff and I looked for the net to appear, as all of you have, right? And as I had, of course, when we were building a company. And now I would say the passion around it was from a great deal of research before. So I'll give you some of the numbers. You already know that 2% of venture capital goes to women. I think it went to 3%, perhaps. It depends on how you play the numbers in 2019. Woohoo! You would think that the money would follow the money, but it has not. In 2016, First Round Capital, which is a massive fund, right, reported on their previous 10-year fund that their women leaders had returned 63% higher ROI to their fund. That would be the kind of thing that makes your head blow off. It's like, whoa, surely the money will follow the money. Somebody's got to take a look. This is not in the noise level. Deeper research indicates that more than a quarter of a century of what research is available to us, remember these funds are private, women are returning an average of 37.5% higher ROI in the private sector and 35% in the public sector if you have at least 30% of the senior leadership team, the C-suite is women, or the board of directors. 37.5% across the board in all sectors. You would think the money would follow the money, but it has not. So today, in 2020, we're still looking at approximately 2 to 3% of all venture capital will go to women leaders of corporations, not just in the tech sector. As an investor, I'd say, hey, that's kind of an underserved market. I'm not competing with everybody for that deal. That's kind of nice. The women raise 66% less capital than the men. 66%. That's a lot less dilution, isn't it? Right? I buy some stock, and every time they raise more money, my stock is diluted. But 66% less dilution. Oh, I like that number. And by the way, when they walk in at the Series A, if you are a woman with this idea and this pitch deck and you pitch it, you will get 18%, get that 1/8, of the valuation that the guys get. Whoa. So now as an investor, I'm saying, 2%, nobody's beating me out for the deal. 18% valuation, I can get in that low, and then I get 66% less dilution along the way, and at the far end, they're going to bring me 37.5% higher ROI on average. Now, I can't guarantee every single deal is going to look like the average. Average is not mean, right? We get that. Excuse me, as an investor, I say, where the hell do I sign? Right? But they're not doing it. So the question is why? And the answers would lie in, if you will, anthropological vestigial behaviors. I know it sounds funny, but truly, this is how it looks. I would say that of the folks who are doing venture capital, there are really 30 guys behind closed doors who have known each other for 30 years in Silicon Valley on Sand Hill Road who get the really good deals, and they make extraordinary outsized returns. Okay? Now, it's hyperbole, but you'll forgive me, all right? There's a small group that do an extraordinary job. But when you look at the numbers, and the 2% or maybe 3% of the capital are going to women, then the other 97 to 98% are going to the guys. And the research is indicating that more than 65% of that capital is going to tall, white, American-spoken, slender, youthful males from Harvard or Stanford, just 2 universities in the entire world, with a baritone voice. And everything, including the baritone voice, is points off. Did anybody qualify in the room? Perhaps. Right? But not a lot. And for heaven's sake, don't walk in with mammary glands. So, we can shout about it and we can talk about the problem, but that's not the solution. The question is, why does it happen and what can we do about it? Right? Now, if you are a humanoid infant, not even a human yet, a humanoid infant, and it cozies up to the saber-toothed tiger, it isn't going to last long. It must cozy up to its own kind. Humans are comfortable with people who are like themselves because it's survival. This is vestigial behavior, right? So the question is, what do we do about it in 2020 when it no longer serves the planet? Humans aren't the only ones that do this. Every mammal does it, every fish does it, every bird does it, even the plants will grow among themselves, right? This is survival. So you walk into a room and there are 6 to 8 guys in there all wearing T-shirts, sport coats, and blue jeans, and they are all Caucasian, and they all have baritone voices, and right, we get it, it sounds pretty cute. It's not exactly that, but it's close. And they will listen, and they will consider, and then they'll literally scratch the back of their neck, the medulla, and they will say, I don't know. I mean, it's good, I got the this, that, I don't know. Okay, now, as a fund manager, it is my legal and fiduciary responsibility to manage the health of this fund. If I'm not 100% certain, do you really want me putting my money down? If I play with rich people's money, they signed up and they can afford to lose it, sure. But if I play with institutional capital, which is what these people are playing with, massive amounts of money, they're playing with your children's retirement fund, the fireman's fund, the teacher's fund, whatever. Do you want them messing with it? You want them to be 100% sure. Because even when they're 100% sure, 4% of their portfolio on average will carry the entire portfolio, the others will not. So this is really bad numbers from A to Z. We must come up with different ways to do it. And here's the answer rather than the complaint. The money must come from different hands and go to different hands. Okay? It is hubris for all of us to think that any one small sliver of the human genome set is going to understand, be comfortable with, and able to work with all other humans and all other problems and all of the solutions and all of the markets. That's foolishness. Let's stop shouting at the people who are doing a very good job at what they do. Do the job. So my first ask is, for those of you who have wealth, let's talk. Put your money where your mouth is. For those institutions where all of the allies were up there on the table, I'm calling you out. Right? Now is the time for the corporations to put their money where their mouth is. And it is not about a special contest where the women can fight against the women for 4 pieces of, $2 million, bequests each. That's nonsense. Okay? We're talking about serious investment of serious capital in a market that will solve different problems and returns, on average, a higher ROI. Let's get on with it. The third thing is the money, again, must come from different hands to different hands. We must get the institutional capital in there. And if you are an entrepreneur that's building your company now, I would counsel you, do well, become wealthy, and I will knock at your door when you are.
Thank you so much, Jillian. Very insightful and humorous at the same time. So, Margaret, you've been described as an active mentor for both men and women in technology, and were recently named Business Role Model of the Year for Women in IT and Mentor and Coach of the Year in the Stevie Business Awards, in addition to being ranked as one of the top women in cloud computing. Can you share more on how you earned these accolades as it relates to your area of expertise in creating access to the customer market?
You're a very hard act to follow. I have a baritone voice. That is, no, I'm just kidding. I was thinking I have and I'm tall and I'm mostly white. First, I want to say, I don't know if you guys realize, we talked about it being the official Women in Cloud Day or whatever it is. It's also the very first day of the Lunar New Year, the Year of the Rat. So, 新年快乐，恭喜发财, for anyone that understood any of that. So, yeah, it's exciting. It's the Year of the Rat, which turns out is a sign of prosperity. So it's a little, Chinese have a different image of the rat than we do. It's a great question. I was trying to think of a segue. I think primarily there's a few things that are consistent in my career that have led to those things. And it's always hard to hear those accolades because I don't, it's always that feeling of dichotomy in your own mindset. But one of it is just pure authenticity. So I think the thing that has been my greatest strength and my greatest challenge, as I've been a woman executive for many years in the technology industry, is I've never been anything but who I am. And with that, it has allowed me to build great teams, build great products and brands. And I think the other thing is I've always looked for the gap, so to speak, right? There's always an opportunity, a space. And when I've been given that opportunity or seen that gap in a career move, I've just jumped in and sometimes had a net and sometimes not. But if you never take those leaps or you never try to go through those gaps, even though you know you're only, 40, 50% qualified, which is plenty, by the way, you never get to keep moving forward. And I also had the opportunity of having amazing mentors and leaders. When I worked at Microsoft, I had an opportunity to move into product management and started working much more closely with engineering. If you looked at my background and my education, I had no right doing that job. So I think that a lot of times, the things I've done in my own career, my opportunities, raising children, and the decisions we make for our families and ourselves, I bring all that to work. So I'm the same person, that I am when I'm fixing dinner as I am when I'm running a meeting. And so I've really been committed to building teams and people's careers, and that's been just as important to me as building companies and products and brands. And, there's a diversity and inclusion part of that. And I know we struggle with, defining what that means, but to me, it means a couple different things. One is that you have to intentionally seek out people different from you. Because I found if we just surround ourselves with people just like us, we won't do very well. And as hard as that is, I don't know, most of you have probably done like a Myers-Briggs or something like that, I assume. So, if you look at those, it's always so funny because you think, I want to hang out with other people like me, like I'm a red and I'm an impact or whatever those, we're supposed to be the aggressive, whatever, saber-toothed tigers or whatever. And there's always another color or name that's like the connectors, or they're the green ones, right? Those are the people that I want to kill usually because they just want to is everyone feeling good? Is everyone happy? It's like, can we just get something done? Kind of thing. But what I've learned over the years is I need those people. Right? And I need the structures and the operational people and that's what makes great teams. So that when I think about D&I, it's not only I'm thinking about, gender and race and geography, it's perspective and the way you get things done, and what you bring to the table that is unique, your unique beauty and value and light that you have in this world. And you need a group of people that are bringing all different sorts, men, women, binary, trans, whatever it is, gender-wise. It's more about the way they look at things, honestly. And so that's just always been a focus of mine, and my team knows it. It's non-negotiable. And once you start doing that and you're intentional about it, it's exponential. It just happens. But you have to start with intention. And so just kind of quickly going to the parts about market and access, think about those same things. If you're going to market, your number one concern is customer. And consistently in my career, I've always tried to think customer in, not product out. There are many products and technologies in this world, and no one, or oftentimes the company will not think about, do customers actually need this? Right? It's cool technology, and we all love cool technology, but it has to be something that people need and want. And so I'm constantly bringing that voice of the customer into technology companies, right? So think about your team, the customer, finding that gap, uniquely differentiating yourself in a market. Like, what is your unique value and business value that you can bring? And then jumping into those opportunities when you see them. Those are very broad strokes, but those are things just over and over again that I do.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Margaret. Really, really good insights and good reminders of how we need to think and behave. So Lisa, you have been recognized as an Inc. Top 10 Female Entrepreneur and an Entrepreneurial Winning Woman by Ernst & Young. That's not a small company. In addition to sitting on several advisory councils for colleges, which is that's a perfect time and place to really capture that the attention of the women, especially that know that they can actually have a seat at the table. But your unique superpower, and what I was reading about you, is you have a way to help companies really accelerate their growth and maintain relevancy in this new world of work. You even wrote a book, which I actually saw on the table, so it's Navigating the Talent Shift. Can you share with us how creating access to talent helps companies, and specifically how it helps women-owned businesses?
Yeah, hi, thanks for having me here. So the main message I want to share with you is that the future of work is now. It's not the future, it's actually now. And what does the future of work really mean? It means that increasingly more people are choosing to work in a flexible way. So what does that mean to you if you're an entrepreneur out there? And I'm going to speak to you as an entrepreneur because I started my company 14 years ago, and I'm still the only owner because I've been afraid of everything Jillian just said about going out to get access. And luckily, we've been able to grow and become over a $30 million company. So is it easy? No, but I will tell you the difference between why I'm sitting here today and why I'm still not really small is my team, and that's about talent. So when I think about talent, I think about building my own team from my own personal experience, entrepreneur to entrepreneur. And then I also think about the managers. So I came up from enterprise. I worked in big companies at Microsoft. It's great to be back home here. Microsoft happens to be our biggest client. We're proud to be one of the largest diverse vendors supporting Microsoft. So access to talent it's personal to me. It's a passion, because I found myself at that crossroads in 2006 after the birth of my second son, and as a director in the OEM sales division here, and I loved it. I loved my job at Microsoft. It was amazing. I didn't want to leave, but I also wanted to see my kids, and I didn't know how to reconcile those two things until a colleague suggested I should think about consulting. And I went through all of those kind of the negative self-sabotage of what that means, as we all know generally women do, and then realized I did have a lot of skills, and I took the leap of faith and quit and started consulting for myself, my own flexibility, and loved it. And pretty quickly I had a lot of other women come to me and say, I want to do what you're doing. I said, really? I thought I was the only crazy one that was taking myself off the, quote, career path. And what I realized along my journey is there's been now thousands of people, mostly women. We happen to be, always have been 75% women, and my entire team happens to be all women. So our diversity issue is about hiring men, actually, which I love talking to people about, because they're always hiring more women. I said, well, just work with us, because we have access to literally 8,000 women, mostly in our database. And I think it's because my passion around access has been my own experience, because when I went out there to seek out a company that cared for me as a person, not just a dollar sign, as a consultant in my skills, and to build community and to build support and ongoing training, I couldn't find it. So I thought, I'll just build it. And I thought very small. I thought there'd just be a few of us. And now today we have over 200 consultants working on projects and thousands that are beating down our doors that want to do the work we do. And so when we think about the gig economy today, why this is important to you hiring is when you're scrapping and you don't have a lot of money in the beginning, you have to think different. You have to think outside the box. And even at large corporations, we work with Microsoft and Amazon and all the big companies locally, it's the same thing. Their budgets are limited as well, and they have to do more with less, and they need experts to fill gaps. So think about your goals in terms of projects. So there's so many things you have to get done. We all have way more on our list to do than we can actually get done. And what it comes down to is the right skill set at the right time. And it's about shifting from static teams to dynamic teams. So how do you take advantage of this huge workforce? About half the population now is choosing to work this way. So when people say to me, I'm just going to go hire like a digital marketing manager or even a CMO full-time or whatever, I always ask, well, what's the outcome of that work? And do you know what you're going to need from a business standpoint a year from now? Because you might burn a lot of cash on that role, and then the job's going to change or the needs of the business are going to change, but it's really hard to retrain somebody. So when you think about being able to be nimble and agile, it's about tapping into this much broader talent pool than a traditional full-time employment in some cases, not all cases. It's about assessing the situation and what you need for that time and really to be able to go faster, not only time to market, but from a cost perspective. So this is one of the things that I'm really passionate about when I get to work with managers and especially entrepreneurs is what are the outcomes? What are those outcomes that you're really trying to achieve and over what time period? Most people can't think beyond a year because who knows what's going to happen in a year? Our world changes so fast. Who knows what new technology is going to come out, what new skill set you're going to need on your team. So why not bring someone in for a few months who's an expert in what you need right now, and then that's going to inform your decision for down the road. And sometimes it informs your decision for who you need to hire as a full-time employee and absorb that fully burdened cost and the taxes and the benefits and the risk, the employment risk. So there's a lot more when people think about hiring talent in a whole new way. And then the last thing I'll say on this whole movement around the gig economy is the gig economy is so much bigger than just Uber drivers. It really is about people that are choosing to work in a project-based way. And as we've seen, this is definitely the future. Even a lot of full-time employees have moonlighting and gig projects on the side because it's a way to keep your skills relevant. And talent today has more choices than ever. And what we see is the best talent are choosing to work in a much more flexible way, and they love the variety of different kinds of projects in different places. So increasingly, when companies say they want to hire the best talent, I always say, well, look outside. Look outside for someone on a contract, because that person has the choice. And oftentimes, that's how you tap the best talent to really shift a perspective and get the results you need when you need it. Thanks.
Super. Thank you so much, Lisa. That was great to hear Lisa's lens on how to think about talent and access to talent. We have just a couple minutes left, and what I'd love to do is just a quick round of what is the one piece of advice each of you would leave the audience with today as it relates to your respective areas of expertise on the topic of access.
Okay. So access to capital is difficult at the venture capital scale, but it's only at conventional venture capital. I would counsel you to think about a capitalization stack on your company the same way we think of an IT stack. You don't use one piece of software. You should not use one kind of capital. As soon as you raise $1 of venture capital, the conventional style, which is the stock for equity, you have agreed to sell your company or go public, and you have agreed to work at the pleasure of your board. Make sure that that's a good match, and don't take that venture capital conventionally too early. Look at revenue share models, royalty agreements, dividend agreements, and also, of course, bridge loan capital.
I would say it's all about human connection. So regardless of what your product or service it is you have, it's all about the relationships you build, the user experience you provide, and how you make something wonderful for the customer. And then that will come back to add value to your company.
When you think about hiring talent, think about talent with a capital T, meaning it could be an FTE, it could be a consultant, it could be a freelancer, it could be a contractor. But think about it from the broader talent perspective, not a narrow perspective, and think about your goal, think about making your goals into projects and then tapping those experts to help you get there faster.
That's good advice.
Yes, perfect. Well, thank you so much to you all. If we can give a round of applause to our panelists today, that would be great.